the concerns that were brought to our attention and that prompted us to do this audit were valid.
Portland auditors reviewed a sample of more than 70 police and criminal intelligence unit reports related to racial justice protests in the summer of 2020. They found photos and videos of protesters that didn't include documentation of criminal activity. Auditor Mary Hall Caballero says that could stifle free speech.
The boundaries need to be set by management of the Bureau, and then they need to help officers understand where the boundaries are.
It's why advocates like Chris Bushick with PDX Privacy are calling for a surveillance ordinance within the city.
And you shouldn't have your name, photo, and license plate number in a secret database just because you stood on a corner holding a sign.
The auditor's office recommends new policies and guidance on which information can be collected, how long that information should be kept in police files, and the public reporting of the Bureau's use of surveillance technology. For the most part, police leaders agree. Chief Chuck Lavelle said new directives on intelligence gathering are under review, and all Bureau members will be trained on the changes. Plus, the Bureau will publish details on how it's using surveillance tech in its annual report. Mayor Ted Wheeler said he will work to enact all 5 of the audit recommendations to support privacy protections of citizens.
But in terms of the information collected during the 2020 protests, there still could be information in the system that shouldn't be there.
There could be, yeah. I don't know if they purged that out of the system or not.
Auditors only looked at a sample of reports related to protests. And as Hall Caballero describes, that could create risks.
They could be pulled over and the officer pulls up their records in the system and sees, oh, they participated in the Black Lives Matter protests. If they were doing nothing wrong, that information does not need to be considered by an officer during a traffic stop. It also does a real disservice to the officers because then they are unnecessarily potentially feeling at risk or a heightened level of risk that they do not need to be dealing with when they're out in the field trying to do their jobs.
Evan Watson joins us now. And Evan, I remember when this was going on, it seemed like there were airplanes up in the sky all the time. And I think I and a lot of people assumed at least one of those belonged to the police. What did you find?
One of those did belong to the police, and the auditors looked into that, and they actually went up in those planes. One of the major concerns was that they were using aircraft to surveil and find that private information, but this audit did find that those concerns were unfounded. That wasn't the case in this.
So they were so high, it was impossible to make out individual license plates or people, that sort of thing?
That's exactly right, yeah.
Okay. And then what did the police who were on the ground, what did they find? What did they collect?
Yeah, so the auditors with this found photos and videos of protesters that weren't linked or weren't described as being involved with criminal activity. They found some photos of license plates and also some saved social media posts that the officers had saved without that special description linking them to any criminal activity, meaning that it shouldn't have been in the database at this time.
All right, that's going to be troubling for some, I think. And I know that you were able to talk one-on-one with the auditor about this report. What was your sense? Was she surprised by some of these findings?
The auditor felt surprised that in all of this, that the officers didn't have much direction throughout all of these protests about what information they should gather, how to gather it, and where to put it after that, which is why they recommended these new guidelines and directives. And then additionally gave me the sense that there's going to need to be follow-up on this to see both what police are doing in the future and how they're purging those records from the past.
All right, very good. And by the way, we want to welcome Evan to our team. Evan joins us from Norfolk, Virginia. He's one of our new investigative reporters, and we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Welcome aboard. You bet.